Since I'm logged out again. Office. All right. Good evening once again. My name has not changed. It is still Peter, and we're still talking Python. This is introduction to Python, and this is our third class, I believe. Sorry, let's just clear my desktop. All right. So we have looked at decision structures. We have looked at creating functions. I believe you all can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So we have looked at functions. We have looked at math operators. We have looked at strings. And then we had looked at decision structures. Before we start putting all of this to work, we are going to look at loops or looping structures, right? Now, why loops? Why do we need loops in programming and software engineering? Supposing you wanted to, let's say, hypothetically, that for me to do that, I have to talk about arrays. Okay, so today what we'll do, I will introduce a new data structure called arrays, right? Then we'll look at loops, right? And then we'll try to see how we can take all of this functionality that we have been developing over the days and put them into an interface. So we'll make them available to users to use user interface for compound interests and simple interests. To do that, we need to, there are primarily two kinds of user interfaces as far as software engineering or application development is concerned. There is command line interface. So when we say command line interface, what I'm referring to is this. I believe some of us may have seen hacker movies where they come and type commands and stuff happens, and then and then yeah, you type commands and basically the system goes off and runs your command and prints out the results on the screen. So we'll look at how we can take our scripts and make them into commands that a user will type, and then the result will print on the screen. For this case, we'll be using our simple interest and our compound interest functions that we created. Then we'll look at how to take that same functionality and make it into a web application, right? So and make it into a web application such that a user can go to a web page and do simple interest and put in his amount and his how long he wants to invest, and the web page will respond to him telling him, okay, this is what your money will accrue to in X number of years or Y number of years, and so on and so forth. So basically today and tomorrow, this is what I expect that we achieve. I'll try to be as fast as possible, but please, if I'm too fast, feel free to slow me down, right? Okay, without much ado, let's begin. What are arrays? An array, sorry. An array is a data structure that, number one, consists of more than one item, right? One item, very important. Two, each items can be accessed by their index position. I will explain what that means in a short while. And items can be added. When items are added to an array, we say they are pushed to the end of an array. Not sure this is okay, no problem. Items can, okay, sorry, in Python it is called append, sorry. Appended to the end of an array. Items can also be popped out of an array. Popped means deleted from an array. And what else? That is it. I think that's basically the basic thing you need to know about arrays. So how do we represent arrays in Python? We say, remember, I'm creating a variable called array equal to, so an array begins with square brackets, right? So this tells Python that whatever is here is an array, right? And then you put the items you want to be in that array as a comma separated list. So for instance, I want this array to contain the integers 4 and 5, right? This array now has the items 4 and 5, right? Now, let's say I say print array. What happens? I have to comment every other thing. Sorry. So that's, let's see. So yeah, so I've created an array. Remember, I simply declared a variable and assigned the array object to this variable. So let's 4 and 5. Now, what do I mean by items can be accessed by their index position? Now, this array, though it's an object, contains multiple items. What this also means is that supposing I want to access each individual item in this array, there has to be a way to address them specifically within this list without having to destroy this object or deconstruct it. Now, how do I do that? We do that using index position. Arrays typically in Python and most programming languages are the first item in an array typically has the index position 0, right? So that means that for this array, this 4 is 4 will be index position 0, and 5 will be index position 1, right? So let's put that to test. Let's say print array. I want to see the item in the first position. Always think when you say first, just do -1. When you say second, the second item is actually the item with index position 1, 2 minus 1. Always, never forget that. So print array 0 and print array 1, right? So let's run this and let's see how that goes. Good. So we see that array has 4 and 5. Print array, we printed the full array. Now we want just the first item in the array, and which is what we've got here. And we want the second item in the array, which is what we've got here. The most important thing to remember, I know a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around this. The most important thing you need to know is that indexes are 0 based. So they don't start from 1, they start to 0. Right. Now, supposing I wanted to, sorry, hold on a bit. Just a moment. Where is this? Okay, yeah, sorry. Now, because I said an array can contain many objects, string array is equal to, remember I said string is anything in quotes, or let's say cars equal to Toyota, Mercedes, Volvo, and what? Tesla. How can I forget Tesla? Oh, no. Good. So the same way, I can also have cars and numbers. Now, because an array is not restricted to having just one type. What do I mean by that? Because I said, because the first item is an integer or a number does not mean that every other item must be a number. You can decide to put numbers, yeah, none. I'll explain none later. Right? I can decide to put whatever I want in an array. But the most important thing you need to know is that an array is not constricted, or is not constrained, sorry, by type. There is no such rule in Python that says an array must be all integers or all strings or all booleans or whatever. It's completely up to you to decide what goes in the array. However, rules do apply. For instance, every item, regardless of whether it is a string, a number, or boolean, or whatever, can only be accessed by their individual, by their index position. So just as a side note to show us that there is no difference, I will print everything, and then we'll go into cars and numbers, right? So good. You see, Python doesn't care. It's an array, print it to the console. Now, There are a couple of things you need to do to know about arrays. One, so supposing the same way, supposing I wanted to access the first item in the array, we would say a car is equal to cars. First item would be index position 0, right? And that would be, so if I printed a car now, that would give me Toyota, right? Correct. This is the first item. And the same way, if I said car equal to cars and numbers, give me the first item 0, I would print car, and that would give me Mercedes. Why? Because I assigned this variable to Toyota, and after printing it, I'm assigning it to this first item, Mercedes. So this is how you get the first item in the array. Now, supposing I wanted to read this, get this item, and at the same time delete it. How do I do that? To do that, we'll use the pop method, right? The pop method returns the element at the index position and deletes it from the array. So what that means is if I say car equal to cars.pop, I want to pop the item at 0 position, right? I will print car, and then I'll print the cars array. Good. So you see, now what happened here, I would comment this out so that what happened here is we have an array with Toyota, Mercedes, so that we have an array with Toyota, Mercedes, Volvo, and Tesla. And I said, hey, array, I want you to give me the guy at the first position or index position 0. And at the same time, I want it to be deleted, right? Yeah, so basically that's what happened here. I could have as well have said, you know what, I really don't care. I don't even want to store the result in a variable. I can still call pop 0. Notice that pop 0 again, this time would delete Mercedes. And if I print cars, yep, see? So basically, I'm assigning it to a variable, but this is completely optional. That's what I wanted you to see. I can decide to just delete. I don't want to know what it is. I just want it out of the system, right? Now, supposing that I don't know the index position, right? I know that, I'll remove these guys. I know that there is someone called Toyota. There is a car called Toyota here, but I don't know its index position, right? So what do I do? How I want to just remove, right? So that we can achieve by calling remove, and we pass the value. So this removes the first occurrence of the value in this array. So if we had two Mercedes, it will delete the first Mercedes. The second Mercedes would remain in the array. So Toyota, okay, and then we'll print cars, right? So that you see, right? So I've been using Toyota too much. Let me use Volvo. Good. Now you see that this array had Volvo, and then we removed it, whatever. Okay, so supposing we wanted to add something. So this is deleting an item by its value. right? Supposing we wanted to add an item to the array, add an item to the array. How do we do that? We just call dot append. What other model of car? Suzuki, right? And then print cars, right? Good. So so a couple of things also that we also need to know is supposing I have an array of numbers L equal to 0, 1, 2, sorry. Okay, let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And I wanted to reverse this array. How would I do that? Well, Python makes it very easy. There is int l.reverse. So what? Oh, sorry. L dot doesn't return something. So say method and then print L. Oh, sorry. Good. So what reverse does is that it simply reverses this array such that the last element becomes the first and the first element becomes the last. All right. Now, something else very important. Supposing also that this array L was now unsorted. What do I mean by that? You see that this list, or this array rather, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, it's sorted in ascending order. What if there was no particular order, so to speak? What if everything was just anyhow? You know, we can say 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. How do we sort this? We simply say L dot sort. Right? Print L, correct? Oh, so this, okay, let me just print L here so that you see it. Good, so this is L unsorted. This is L sorted in ascending order. Supposing we wanted to sort it in descending order, all we need to do is pass reverse equal to true. This will reverse, sorry, and then print L, right? Oh, still running. Good. So you see this array, it is unsorted, sorted in ascending order, sorted in descending order, right? So, good. So basically, that's it. Now, the most important of all of this is something called the length of an array. What does that mean? Supposing I had items in this array, I didn't know how many of those items were, but I needed a way to know, okay, I needed to be able to say that, oh, there are 5 items, or there are 6 items, or there are 7 items. How would I achieve that? Surprisingly, it is very easy to do. not surprisingly. It's almost easy everywhere anyway. How would I do that? I can do that by simply saying, again, I'm declaring a variable to store that. You use the len keyword. So the len method gives you the length of any array or list or whatever. So I want to know how long that L is, and I want to print it, right? And, oh, sorry, print array length. Nine. So this tells me that it is 9 characters long. Now, few gotchas. Now, remember last lesson I talked about a string, right? Now, the interesting thing about a string is that a string is underneath an array of characters. I think you should remember that. We discussed that in the last class. Now, supposing I wanted to know how many characters were in this string, how will I do that? Now, remember, just because I said that a string is an array of characters, the same thing would apply. Len char array. Sorry, I can print it. Right? That would be wrong. And this tells me that this string is 28 characters long. Now also remember that a space is also a character, right? Supposing also I wanted to see the item at 25th position, which will be index position 24, just to tell you that a string is actually an array, I could do char at 25 is equal to char array. 25 minus 1 will be 24. Remember, arrays are index based, and then print char 25. So that tells me that the character at index number 24 is letter G. So how does this help us? It turns out that it is almost impossible to write a program without structures, data structures that permit you to store multiple items as one variable. So I'll give you an instance. Supposing this was a school, I'm going to comment everything out. And supposing this was a school, and we said, I want to register a list of, I wanted to register a students, let's say there is a roll call or something, or I have a long queue of students waiting to enter to my class, and I wanted to be sure that these students are actually part of my class before I let them in. Now, how would I achieve that? Something like, I just want to be sure that you are part of my class before you join. So let's start hypothetically by saying that there are 3 students in this class. 8 minutes, okay. There are 3 students in this class. First of them is Peter, the second is Paul, and the third is Thomas, right? Then I have a function that says check if student is, sorry, Python, is students class is is person class member, and we are going to get the person, the name of the person, right? So what do? We simply do, oh, there's another method I did not introduce to you. Students dot, what do we need here? What can we get? Okay.
Sorry, Peter, just to inform you, you have less than 7 minutes more of this session to go up. So please, everybody, once it goes up, you can join back using the same link. Thank you. Sorry to disturb. Yeah.
No problem. So students.index, students.index person, right? Return student.index it's not none, right? Try function. I'm going with try catch. Let me think. Can't remember how this is done in Python. Okay. Catch. Student is not part of the class. Right. One moment. Let me check the Python documentation.
Yeah, I sent something to your chat text. I googled it.
Okay. Okay, except. Oh, sorry, forgotten. Yeah. Yeah. So except. Right. Okay. So now we can use this and we can say is person a class member. Let's pass in Paulina, right? Sorry. Print is person, I'm passing Paulina and print, so we run that. Student is not part of the class because there was an error, and an error was thrown when trying to find this guy. And in this case again, let's try this person class member, and let's pass in what we do know exists. Why are you freezing? Come on. Yeah. Okay. It's person. Okay. So we can refine this and say, this does not throw an error. We don't really care. Student member of the class. Right. So student is a member of the class. Student is not a member of the class. So this happened because Paul is a member and Paulina is not a member. Now, why did I go through all of this? I just wanted to show you why arrays are or lists are very important. They allow us to bucket multiple items, and they allow us to perform simple searches on all of those things, right? So right after the break, we would go into loops and why we need loops and how loops can help us, write better programs, and how we can use loops in conjunction with arrays to solve problems in computer science and general software engineering in general, so to speak. So see you in a minute or 2 minutes time.
Sorry, before you leave, I have a question. I'm sorry. So what's the difference between this try except and if you are using an if then else or if else?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. I would explain that. I don't want to be cut short when I start, so I'll talk about that when we come back.
Okay. Thank you very much.